Microsoft Excel 2003 Solver. Yes, I know you've been thinking to yourself, what can I do to optimize my data with a high-end optimization code? All right, maybe you don't go to bed tossing and turning every night thinking about that. But Microsoft Excel 2003 gives us a brand new tool, and it's called Solver, and it's all about optimization. So in this video, we are going to take a look at how we optimize our data with Solver. I know, it sounds like such a cool feature, and it is. That's what we're going to find out. What the heck is Solver? And how do I use it to optimize my data? Now, this video could really quickly turn into an advanced mathematics course, and we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is show you how Solver works and give you a couple of examples for it. The good news is you actually have examples built into your Microsoft Excel 2003. They give you a sample file, which we'll show you in just a moment. But before you can even get started on using Solver, you need to install it. It's one of those special add-ins that you get. So if I come up here to Tools, and I click down here and it says add-ins, you'll notice nowhere here do you see Solver. I mean, you see Goal Seek and Scenarios, which we'll take a look at Goal Seek in a later video. And Scenarios is, fairly simple, straightforward stuff. But down here under add-ins, if I click on add-ins, it's going to say, okay, what do you want to add? We have Analysis Tool Pack. We have with Visual Basics, we have Conditional Sum Wizard, Euro Currency Tools, Internet Assistant, Lookup Wizard, and the Solver add-in. Here's the last one that we have here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one. Now, we'll also take a quick look at Analysis Tool Packet a little bit later on when we look about customizing our Excel spreadsheet. The Conditional Sum Wizard, the Euro Currency Tools, and these, they're pretty much outside the scope of this video series, but I do want to make sure that you saw that this is where you would load these if you were looking for those special add-ins that you wanted. So Solver add-in, we click OK, and it says go ahead and load it in. And now what happens when we come to Tools, you'll notice one of our solutions is Solver. So here at this point, we are now going to have a literal suite of commands that are sometimes called what-if analysis tools. So what we're going to do is we're literally going to say, if I have all this data, what if I used all these different combinations? How would I come up with a minimum goal or a maximum goal? That's what Solver is all about. While this might sound really tough and really hard, well, if you really open up the hood and look at the actual optimization code that they use, it's actually called the Generalized Reduced Gradient Nonlinear Optimization Code. Whoa, wow, a little too much here. But just understand, this has been developed by people who specialize in optimization, and so Solver is going to allow us to do that. So we've added the Solver, and now let's take a look at how this is going to work. So unless you've done some research and looked into it, you might not know that this new feature, this Solver, has a sample file that will help you walk through the process. Now, I'm going to walk through it with you so that you can understand it. I'm going to show you the sample file, and then I'm going to show you one that I've created, because that way you kind of give an idea of how you might have to create this from scratch. Theirs is nice and pretty and all well done. Well, mine looks pretty good. We'll show you, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is go up to File and open the Solve SAMP file. This, by the way, is located in your C drive or whatever you placed your Office under Program Files, Microsoft Office, Office 1.1, Samples. When you select that, you'll see that you have the Solve SAMP file, which is a Microsoft Excel worksheet, which will help you out. So let's go ahead and click Open. At this point, it's going to say, all right, here you go, and bada bing, bada boom, check this out. It is awesome. You got this quick tour of Microsoft Excel Solver, which we're going to show you, which talks about how you can raise product profits over the 4 quarters based on changing the advertising dollars and constraints. We'll show you that. But look at all the cool stuff you get. Product mix, shipping routes, staff scheduling. Ooh, this one's a good one. I've used this myself several times. Maximizing income, portfolio of securities, and one that I just think is cool beyond measure, and that is the value of a resistor in an electrical circuit. I know what you're thinking. Chris is a geek. You're absolutely correct. I mean, how can you not be geeked out on this? Because look, I mean, it gives you the formula for Kirchhoff's second law of electrical resistance or something like that, and it gives you the values, and then you change it to find. All right, maybe an engineering person will find that kind of cool. And let's go on back to our quick tour. And enough of the geeking out. So here we can see Microsoft Excel Solver and how this all works. Now realize what you're trying to do is you're trying to optimize something. So you need a goal, a target, if you will, an objective, and that's what that target cell is. In this case, our target is going to be this amount right here for quarter one. That's the example that they're showing you. And they're going to say, based on all this information here, I want to be able to maximize my product's profit by changing the advertising, or what kind of advertising can I use or spend to make my Q1, because maybe Q1's got to be our make it or break it. If we do good here, we're going to be awesome. All right, sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to change values, and we're going to just, and Solver is going to go through doing what if analysis. What if I put in this number? What if I change this number? What if I do? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And eventually it will come up with the best solution, either maximizing the target, minimizing it, because sometimes you want the least amount to be sold to make the maximum amount of profit. Well, you can do that as well. And you need to be able to do it within the constraints of that you have. In other words, you don't have maybe unlimited products. In this case, you don't have unlimited advertising dollars. You have a budget of $40,000 for the year. So let's see how this works by using Solver. The first thing you would do is select the target cell, come up here to Tools, and hey, there's our Solver guy. He is there. Click on it, and it says, all right, what are the parameters for Solver? I'll move this up so we can still see all of our information here. B15, notice this is an absolute cell. It is not a relative. It's B with the dollar signs. This is the only one we're concerned about. Now, you want it to be maximized. Sounds good. Or do you want it minimized? Or, check this out. Do you want to hit a particular goal? What would be the maximize, or what's the optimal way of arranging the advertising dollars, or do this or do that? So you see, you have everything at your fingertips. In this case, we want to maximize the amount of profit for Q1 by changing what? In this case, the advertising. What are the, I mean, there's a lot of combinations that you can change. The $10,000 here, maybe 15,000 here, 5,000. I mean, you can change these values under the different quarters and see how it works to improve that. So we go to changing the cells. I click on this one, and I say I want to change these cells. Okay, those four are selected. I come down here, and it says, all right, B11 through E11. And then I need to add the constraint. Are there any constraints? Sometimes you don't have constraints, and that's great. That's kind of the pie in the sky, shoot the moon type of a thing, and you can do that. But in this case, we're going to say we need to add a constraint. And that constraint is, sorry guys and gals, $40,000 is all you get. So I say cell reference, come up here. It's going to be F11. I drop it. And what is the constraint? It needs to be less than or equal to, because less than works, that's a possible option, $40,000. So I type in the amount. Now, of course, I have other options. Sometimes maybe to make it minimal, I can go to greater than or equal to. It doesn't really matter. And I can actually select actual values if I want by selecting here. Now, I can add this one, and then it will bring up another screen saying, what's the next cell reference? What's the next constraint? But I'm only going to use this one constraint. So I go ahead and click on the OK button. And look at this. I have now the B15 going to the max. I want the max product. I'm going to change cell B11 through E11. That's my advertising dollars, but you can't go over $40,000. I click the solve button, and bada bing, bada boom, here we go. It says we've come up with a solution. And all constraints and optimality conditions are satisfied. Look down here. It says the maximum is $15,093. To get the maximum profit, you will need to spend $17,093 or $17,093 right here. Now, what's really neat is that I can keep the solver solution, or I can say, ooh, I don't know about that. I can maybe I need to restore the original values, or I can even save that scenario as an option. So I have all of these options right here at my fingertips just by using this solver, and it says, here you go. You're set up for $15,093. I'll say go ahead and keep the solver solution. I click OK, and now I'm set. And so as the director of this project or the managing director or something, I've now optimized my solution based on information in my Excel spreadsheet using the solver tool. This is awesome. Okay, I promised you another example, and I will, because obviously it's maybe you might think this is cheating a little bit because I'm using the one that they give. Can I do this? Absolutely. It takes a little bit of prep work, but I went ahead. I'm going to do File, Open, and I am going to open up my solver example file. And in this case, what I've done and decided to do is I want to find out how many bags of coffee I need to sell, but this time I want to get $15,000 in net income. Okay? Right now, what I've done by setting this up is by putting my variable expenses, which are my bags and inventory. I have light, medium, dark, and super roast type of coffees. I find out what my costs are for roasting per bag, and so I've done all my homework and figured this out. And I found out my variable expenses is $590. And that's for my bags and inventory based on cost of roasting, shipping, and total cost per roast type. And then I can say, well, all right, well, here's my revenue. What are the prices I'm going to sell per bag? It's $8.32, $9.15, $10.07, and $11.07. But right now, I haven't done any of this. But I want to find out and optimize based on how many bags sold, and I want to make sure that I don't exceed. I can't sell all of my bags or more than the bags that I have in my inventory, right? So let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to click on here, and I went ahead and prepared tools, and I've got my solver solution in place now, and let me show you what I've set up for this. I've said my target cell is B19. I want to do a value of 15,000. Makes sense. What cells am I going, are I going to change? Hey, boy, you know, I speak for a living and I still can't do this. Okay, B10 through E10. So here's B10, how many bags sold, through E10, which is going to be my super. So I want to change these. I want to change these cells to equal 15,000. However, look at this. B10 cannot be, it has to be less than or equal to B3. Well, what is that? That's the number of bags I have in inventory. I can't do B10 and make it more than 1,000 because that is the constraint that I have. So I've done that for each one of those. I've said C10, D10, and E10 cannot go any higher than what I have here. Now, the formula is all set up because my formula that's in here, if you look at it, and let me close this. Let me close this. Notice there's still a formula here. And the formula is based upon the subtraction of everything in here. So by doing this, I'm setting up the changes for the revenue because my revenue numbers will change based upon what? Haha, that's right. Right now I've got revenue here. The numbers will change based on how many of these bags I sell. So see, everything in here is going to be changed when I change these bags to produce a set amount. See how optimization works? It is, again, a very advanced feature, but you can see how it works. Okay, so enough. I know you guys are already going, ooh, boy, coffee. I want some coffee. I know I want some. So take a look. We're going to do this. We're going to say 15,000. I say solve. It goes, okay, we solved and found a solution. All constraints and optimality conditions are satisfied. So I come up here, scroll up a little bit. Here's my 1,000 bags. And notice if I sell 454 bags of the light, 500 of the medium, 550 of the dark, and 605 of the super, it will equal exactly $15,000 net income. Because some people might say, well, couldn't you have sold a few more of the light or the medium? What if the dark? So it wouldn't have equaled the $15,000. So I can keep the solver solution, or again, I can restore to the original values. Now I want to show you something. Let's go ahead and cancel that. So I'm back to here. What happens, and go to Tools and Solver, what happens if I just totally mess this up? I want a value of 150,000 I wonder what happens when I try to do that. Solver could not find a feasible solution. Why is that? It's because it said right here to reach that 150,000, I would eventually run out of all the bags. And it's showing me by selling all 1,000 bags, 1,000 bags, 1,000 bags, 1,000 bags, we're going to get the total revenue of $33,023.10. So again, if you do something that is out of bounds in the formula, it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and cancel. We can come back here. This time come up to, if I want to do the maximum again, got 150. So we can go back to our 15,000. Or if I want to, let's say I just want to do the max. I want to set that to the max. Well, we've already seen pretty much what it's going to look like. It's going to look at 33,023 because that's selling each and every one of those bags, which we could have done the math ourselves on that one. But you can see, you can do minimum, you can do maximum, you can set the value to whatever you want. And that is important for us. Plus, watch this. What if I wanted to, go ahead and cancel this one more time, I can then take these values and reference them on another sheet on what I need to sell or what are the bags I need to sell to reach that, and I can put it on a separate sheet and I can link that. See how Solver and linking and putting all this information together can just really maximize your use of Solver. And because I'm a cool guy and I want to show you a couple other things, remember you saw those report functions when we did our solver? So let's go back up here, do our solver one more time. Solver, we're doing the 150,000. And, well, before we get to the reports, here are some options. Now, this is totally beyond the scope, but I want to show you where they are. Here is where you can say how long it takes for it to figure it out, how many iterations it does, the precision that you get down to, the tolerance levels, the convergence. You all need to know math and statistics and probability to work with these type of things. You can do conjugate, Newton searches, derivatives, way, way, way. You can also load models that people have produced. You can assume a linear model, assume a non-negative, use automatic scaling. Again, these are all good options. Let's just cancel that. But I want to show you the reports. Have you ever wondered how it came up with the number of 15,000 and why it chose that? Or in other words, how it chose the number of bags of coffee are going to be sold at certain prices so that you produce that 15,000? Well, let's find out. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. It says, all right, there's my 15,000. I did solve it. Keep solver solution. And what kind of reports do you want? Answer, sensitivity, and limits. I'm going to choose all of them. I'm going to say, okay, keep the solver solution, and click OK. Look what it did. Here's my coffee bag data all down here, and here are my reports, my limits report. It says, well, here's the cell, here's the target name, net income live, value 15, and it goes through the values. You know, was there a lower limit, a target, upper limit, target result? You know, that gives you this information. Sensitivity reports. Here's the final value, reduced gradient. Any constraints? No. You know, all this, answer report, how it found out, and it ran through the constraints and the reiterations and the slack. All this information now becomes a part of the reports that are placed within this particular solver tool. So you can do all these reports and give that information to anybody who would really need to see that. It is available for you. That is the important point here. While you might never ever understand what generalized reduced gradient nonlinear optimization code is all about, you at least know that it's used to help Solver do its thing. And Solver, remember, is a way that we can optimize our data, reach our target goal, whether it's a maximum or a minimum value or even a value that you set by changing data in certain cells while following constraints. So it's literally like setting all those variables. And we saw even how we can sell some coffee there at the end. And that is important. How do you use the solver tool? You make sure that you know what your target's going to be or where you want your target to be. Then you choose your goal, whether it's a maximum, minimum, choose the cells that change, and then finally put any constraints in place, and you're going to be good to go. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.